TV. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. Just in case you didn't listen to the last episode, this is a continuation of that episode. So last week, myself and Mark Donaldson from On The Timelash looked at the script for the unmade Doctor Who story, The Dark Dimension. It might be best, if you haven't heard it, to jump back and listen to that before you get into the second half of the conversation, as there'll be several throwbacks to The Dark Dimension, plus we're both lightly suzzled by this point. Too hot for TV. I forced you to read The Dark Dimension, because you're exactly the sort of person that seems to say yes to these things. So,
well, partly because it was just I'd never read it.
Yeah,
you know, I'd kind of known the legend and all that kind of thing, but I never actually sat down and read the script, and I definitely hadn't listened to any of the fan audios, and I hadn't been invited to Ian Levine's house to watch the animated version of it. Although, funnily enough, I think I know somebody that was. I can't remember if it was.
Really?
I'm not going to say who it was, because you know. But Adrian Rigglesford was there.
Oh, wow.
Now, I don't know if it might not have been The Dark Dimension, but it was one of Ian Levine's screenings of his animations. And the thing is, apparently, they all meet at a Chinese restaurant or an Indian restaurant or something and have a meal, and then they go back to Ian's and watch the thing. So this guy I know is standing outside the restaurant, and Aid turns up, although he doesn't know it's Aid. It's just a guy to him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, are you here for Ian's screening?" And apparently he looked at this guy as if he was shit on his shoe, as if to kind of say, "Don't you know who I am?" To which I said to him, "You should have gone, yeah, I know who you are. You're a convicted felon, Adrian Rigglesford."
Did he give a review of the animation?
It's you know, I think it was The Dark Dimension, because he said, yeah, I mean, it's quite Michael Wisher, because it's got Michael Wisher in the... Not Michael Wisher, sorry.
Peter Miles.
Peter Miles, thank you. In the role of Hawkspur. And he said, Peter Miles was quite good, to be fair. But
yeah, I can imagine. So, I said to you, we want to do something multi-doctory, celebratory, and you said, well, let's do three one-shot comic strips from DWM. So we're going to run through them one by one, and the first one is called Time and Time Again, which was in Doctor Who magazine 207, which was December 1993, so around the same time as The Dark Dimension was being kicked to the curb. News at the time, Steven Spielberg apparently wants to make a Doctor Who movie. How exciting. And the Daily Star reported that David Hasselhoff would play the Doctor.
That's one I'd never heard before.
Yeah.
I've heard Pamela Anderson was going to be Eric Idle's companion, but I hadn't.
Yeah. Oh, the Hoff was tipped a few times, I think. Other releases at the time, the incomplete Death's Head 12, which was the 12th and final issue of the Death's Head comic featuring the 7th Doctor, because Doctor Who's been in the Marvel universe before. Disney acquisitions, who knows what's going to happen. The new adventure at the time was The Left-Hand Hummingbird by Kate Orman. Doctor Who Classics Comics issues 14 was out, and Planet of the Daleks was just coming to the end of its repeat season on BBC Three. Fun times to be a fan. Anything exciting there?
Planet of the Daleks. I remember watching that. I think it was on Sunday afternoons, wasn't it?
I think that was in the week.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I think it was a...
I distinctly remember watching it.
It was a Friday night, I think. Because they had those little films on before.
That would make sense, actually, yeah. But because I remember that being the last time I think I've ever sat through. I know everybody loves it. But I feel like that's the last time I actually sat through Planet of the Daleks in its entirety.
Wow.
Was watching it an episode a week.
Wow.
Because it's not that good. It's quite slow. It's really
ending
slow.
the Zoom now. Actually, we haven't done themed drinks for this now. I'm assuming you don't have a drink for every comic, because otherwise you're going to be really pissed. So do you have something that is about one of them or encompasses all of them, perhaps?
I think this encompasses all of them. So I don't know about you, Dylan, right? But it's a birthday, isn't it? It's a big birthday. It's Doctor Who's anniversary.
Yeah.
Nothing says birthday like a big chocolate cake, right? So I've got a can, again it's vocation actually, of honeycomb chocolate stout.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah.
Right, well,
nice dessert beer.
I have gone quite literal again and just gone, that word appears in the title of one of these things. But also from the Vocation Brewery, I've got the Life and Death Classic IPA, because one of the stories is called Happy Death Day.
Yes. Nice beer, that.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's also about 7%, so...
Yeah, these stouts are pretty strong.
Yeah, savage.
Oh, well. What's the worst that can happen?
It already has. It was called The Dark Dimension.
I mean, it's all getting edited, so...
Yeah, exactly. You should see the editing I have to do for people that are sober, so, it's just as bad.
Too hot for TV.
When the Doctor, Benny and Ace visit London in 1993, they find themselves in a war zone, the city in ruins, and full of his greatest foes. The White Guardian appears and tells the Doctor that the Black Guardian has created a new timeline where the Doctor never left Gallifrey and instead became the President. In order to repair the damage done, the Doctor must collect the pieces of the key to time which are hidden in his own timeline. The Doctor, Ace and Benny separate and go through the Doctor's timeline, picking up the pieces of the key, encountering the Doctor's previous lives and many of his companions. With the key to time assembled, the Doctor's timeline is once again on the right track, and the first Doctor leaves Gallifrey once more.
Too hot for TV.
So, Time and Time Again was written by Paul Cornell, which shocked me somehow. The artist was John Ridgway, and the colourist was Paul Weiss. So it's a tough gig to write a multi-Doctor story in a comic over 10 pages. How does Paul Cornell do here?
So I think I'm going to just lay my cards on the table here. I think this is the weakest of the three.
Agree.
And it's also the one I'd never read before. So when you asked me kind of, we're doing multi-Doctors, I was like, I want to do something interesting. I don't want to just pick, let's read Lance Parkin's Cold Fusion. So I picked two that I enjoyed as a kid. And then I was like, actually, what was the 30th anniversary comic strip? And it was this.
Yeah.
And it's, again, I don't know, like I say, a Doctor Who anniversary special at a time when Doctor Who's missing, presumed dead.
Yeah.
It's, again, the 7th Doctor this time arrives in the dystopian world where the Black Guardian has made sure the Doctor never left Gallifrey, so therefore the whole universe is...
fucked.
Yeah. But what I find interesting, because I'm working on, I'm doing all the Unbounds again for a thing for the Big Blue Box podcast, and I was listening to Old Mortality the other day, and I was like, what was it about the time, the 90s, the early 2000s, where everybody thought the first Doctor was like, he's a bit cowardly in that first story.
Yeah.
If he never left Gallifrey, he'd be appeasing the Daleks. Because that's what happens, isn't it? It's like the Doctor's the president of Gallifrey in this comic strip.
Yeah.
And it is like going through a process of appeasement with the Dalek Empire.
Yeah, it's weird.
Which are basically kind of laying waste to the whole of creation.
Yeah. Is it because there's a synergy between the development of the Doctor and the Daleks?
I guess, yeah. So that he's never there to see actually what happened and therefore kind of take against it. Or is it because he never meets Ian and Barbara, who obviously humanise him a little bit?
Yeah.
Although, of course, he's been cutting about time and space for donkey's years before this point.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that.
That's true.
The Doctor never left Gallifrey for the second time. These are the sort of stories that, and all of them kind of have, well, the first two especially have in common, of this is what Doctor Who fans think a multi-Doctor story should be like, of you've got to zip through all of the Doctors and you've got to chuck in a bunch of continuity references. It is essentially the opening of the Name of the Doctor.
Yeah.
I think at some point, one day, someone will do a Doctor Who, a multi-Doctor story like this, but they'll figure out a way for it to not just be with the MacGuffin of Time and the Black Guardian.
I think we're getting to... Because, Star Trek did it, back for its 40th anniversary. I think it was the 40th. Yeah,
or the 30th.
Oh, so no, it was the 30th, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was video... I remember having it on videotape.
Yeah, you're right, because, it was definitely the 30th. And that was great. It's it's the cast of Deep Space Nine, it kind of interacting with using sort of all sorts of trickery and green screen, and I feel like it holds up quite well even now.
It does. I watched it a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking it holds up well. But that is because also it's shot on film.
Yes. So it's easier to marry all of that stuff up.
Yeah.
And also they've got big American studio budgets, not BBC budgets. But I do think we're getting to a point where you could do something like that. Although it's the old Ian Malcolm thing of just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll definitely get it at some point.
Yeah. So here, the universe is fucked because the Doctor never left Gallifrey, and the Doctor just goes through a bunch of his old stories and has or the Doctor and his companions has very minor interactions with his past selves and past stories, but they're all stories we know. So it's not even like we're getting, I don't know, the fifth Doctor with the Cybermen in some battlefield like we were before. It's like, oh no, we know all of this stuff. So the first place that they land is in the land of fiction, and it's Benny, right?
Yeah.
And what's the key to time?
It's not the Doctor's recorder, is it?
No, it's his hat. And he just hands it over. There's no jeopardy.
Yeah, he hands it over because she speaks to him like a Dr. Zeus poem.
But,
which is a bit irritating.
Yeah, it's really fucking odd. Then we get Ace with the third Doctor. I've not really... They have a fight, right? A sword fight? That's about it?
Yeah, because it's during Day of the Daleks.
Oh, of course.
So she appears, he thinks it's one of the ghosts. And they have a sword fight, and the Doctor's sword is the segment of the key to time. So she grabs that, and
the Doctor's sword that would have been something that belongs to Orderly House or whatever it's called is, of course, the key to time. One of the scenes that I quite liked was the interaction between the 6th and the 7th Doctor. What did you think of that?
Yeah, that's... Because I don't know if this is right, but there's a previous... It's either a previous or a later Doctor Who comic strip which has the 6th and 7th Doctors interacting.
Yeah, there is,
Isn't there? Is it Nemesis of the Daleks or something like that? So it's obviously building this kind of strange relationship where like the 6th Doctor kind of knows... Because they've kind of... I suppose we've had that before in the 5 Doctors where Pertwee references Tom Baker, but the 6th Doctor kind of knows what's coming and kind of disapproves of... the 7th Doctor's more sort of Machiavellian tendencies. And
apparently they build on it a bit more in the New Adventures, that the 6th Doctor is just very disapproving of the 7th.
Interesting. And then there's a bit of it... It's not really because he's a clone, isn't he? In Project Lazarus, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's a clone. My favourite bit is the 5th Doctor bit. Because what happens there?
Adric cracks on Ace, doesn't he?
I know. And who would have thunk that Adric had an eye for the ladies?
Well, not Matthew Waterhouse.
And, I'm not just mapping on real-life Matthew Waterhouse onto Adric, but Adric just always comes across as...
just a sexless child.
Yeah.
In a sort of man's body.
Yeah, 100%.
Or a Doctor Who fan. I only made that joke because we're in the 90s. I'm just trying to be, period specific.
But if we're in the 90s, they wouldn't have fucked up like they did in this scene, because Adric's fancy dress clothing is erroneous, as he did not change into it until after the Doctor had finished playing cricket. So they fucked.
So what that tells me is that it's John Ridgway that did the art.
Yeah.
He has had sex.
100%. He's a right playboy, old John Ridgway. Then we get Tom Baker in The Nightmare of Eden, which is any excuse to see a Mandrel, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And then the final sort of confrontation, the final little thing is the 7th Doctor meeting the 1st Doctor. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's... Because what's the key to time in that again?
It's the TARDIS manual.
Right. So then that's... Oh, ha 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 ha. But the comic strip does that way better about 20 years later.
Does it?
I think it's, because is it not in the Doctor Who magazine, that 6-parter they did with the 11th Doctor and Ian and Barbara?
Oh, yes, that sounds...
And it's something to... I can't remember exactly what happens, but the Doctor has to do something that therefore means that the TARDIS doesn't quite work to begin with, and I can't remember, it's something like that. I just feel like the 1st Doctor and the 7th Doctor, I think you could have quite a good sort of almost 6th Doctor and 7th Doctor kind of dynamic, but they don't kind of... It's kind of just, oh, you boy, what are you doing in my TARDIS? Just because at that point, I guess William Hartnell Doctor Who's hard to
Yeah.
come by, so you kind of just base it on what you've seen, which is a lot of
You base it on An Earthly Child, The Daleks, and The Five Doctors.
yes.
That's the only bits we've seen, and some people have watched The Time Meddler on BBC Two and gone, "Oh, he's actually really good." But
Yeah.
so everything goes back to normal once they've got all the bits, and we see the Doctor and Susan fucking off on the TARDIS from Gallifrey. Clara's missing.
Although Clara is...
she's
she's
just off screen.
just off screen.
I hope if this gets reprinted, they add her in. But So the art was done by John Ridgway, as we said. What do you think of his style of drawing?
Do you know what? There's something quite... and I mean this. I do mean this as a compliment. I don't mean this as a criticism. But there is something slightly world artists about it. Like, it has that kind of nice old school kind of Doctor Who annual feel to it, rather than a kind of Doctor Who magazine comic strip, I think.
I wrote that it was sort of very 50s, 60s annual, and he doesn't always get the likenesses 100% correct, but I don't think he's trying to. I think it's all about evoking an image, and it's kind of slightly more abstract than...
Yeah, and I think, because I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that comic strip adaptations of like screen stuff needs to be photorealistic, because otherwise why are you reading a comic? I think if it's about kind of nailing the silhouette and a certain aspect of the character, and I think he does that
100%. And I love that first panel where you've got the Black Guardian and then an assortment of TV monsters and then the Seventh Doctor and co running away, and I just think that's such a striking image. Anything else you particularly want to say about this story?
I think it's an interesting take on a anniversary story. I think, Cornell's gone, right, I can't do like a big, feature length story which sort of pairs all the Doctors up. So what's the alternative? And the alternative is you just have the Doctor kind of zipping back to his personal timeline in a kind of celebration of the past. Yeah. In a way. But also in like I say, in that kind of the 30th anniversary where like it kind of feels like a dead thing. Yeah. And it feels we're kind of looking back over something that no longer exists.
And Doctor Who fans take Doctor Who fiction very seriously. So there's no chance that you would do like a jovial celebratory story.
No, why would you?
Exactly. Which brings us on to Happy Deathday. Actually, do we want to call it a clanger, banger, average meander?
Oh, sure. It's another average meander, I think.
It is an average meander. God, we do some quality stuff on this. It's good, though, because the last few episodes, everybody's just picked things that are really good and they're just constantly banging. I'm going to change the form.
Unlike Doctor Who fans, I'm just going to stop that joke now. That's the end. That's the power of 3. That's the third time I've done it. That's the end.
I'm going to change the format of the podcast slightly for the next season to make sure there are some shit stories in there.
Oh, you mean fan wanker damn swanks coming back?
No, just I'm going to make sure that there are some bad stories chosen. There we go.
Good.
Sign up now. Anyway.
It's literally just going to be you and me, isn't it?
So Happy Deathday was released in Doctor Who magazine 272, which was the December 98 issue, although it comes out in November. That's obviously the Doctor Who magazine. News at the time, Mike Tucker's season 27 console room design made its debut on TV on the 35th anniversary night, which was on BBC Choice, in which he made a model of it, and using, and I quote, whiz video technology, they were able to place Sylvester McCoy within the model.
Does he mean forced perspective?
Yeah. It's the same shit. The Sun had an article saying, dodgy TARDIS puts Doctor Who in the shade. Now, this was the fact that a genuine TARDIS prop was sold off by the BBC at auction, but it came under scrutiny from Andrew Beach, who discovered it was actually a fan replica sold to the BBC for just publicity events and things like that.
Wow.
So someone paid $5,000 for something that wasn't even a real TARDIS. So there we go.
Holy shit.
Gutted to be them. Richard Franklin was to appear in the JNT written panto of Aladdin. Insert your smutty comments here. That's all I've got to say there. Releases at the time, we had Out of the Darkness from BBC Audio, which was materials from featuring the Sixth Doctor and Perry from the Short Trips book, read by Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant. Again, we're heading towards Doctor Who on audio. Nick Courtney's autobiography 5 Rounds Rapid was out. Real Time had just released Mind Game on VHS. BBV had released their audio range of The Time Travellers, Prosperity Island, The Left Hand of Darkness and The Other Side. The New Adventures, the Benny range, had the books Another Girl, Another Planet by Martin Day and Len Beach. Maybe that's Ben Leach and I've just spelt that wrong. Who knows? Anyway, Beige Planet Mars by Lance Parkin and Mark Clapham. And a new company called Big Finish had released some Bernie Summerfield audios called Oh No and Beyond the Sun.
Let's keep an eye on them.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff out then. I mean, is there anything there that you need to talk about before we move on to...
I think I need to talk about any of it. It's not a lot really that I remember there, to be honest, from that kind of period. Which is weird. I think the only thing that strikes me is just how much...
A lot of stuff there
was, that's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of quite tenuous spin-offs there. You've got... In fact, none of those feature the Doctor. Is there anything that... Only Out of the Darkness was like this is a Doctor Who story.
Like a legitimate official Doctor Who.
Yeah, but there we go.
Too hot for TV.
The Beige Guardian kidnaps all 8 incarnations of the Doctor and then gathers together all the enemies the Doctor has ever defeated. Unfortunately for the Beige Guardian, the Doctors have defeated all these monsters before, so they can defeat them again, with the Doctors ultimately defeating the Beige Guardian too.
Too hot for TV.
So, Happy Death Day, written by Scott Gray. Artist was Roger Langridge. Now, this is only 5 years later for the 35th anniversary. Again, Doctor Who fans, for some reason, need to celebrate every 5 years, not 10 years like everybody else. What do we think of Scott Gray's take on an anniversary story?
Oh, it's just a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
I think it's indicative of... I mean, it's only been 5 years, but I think it's kind of indicative of Doctor Who magazine's direction at that point, which was basically, look, it's not coming back. We've still got the license. Nobody's kind of questioning what we're doing. We can just write about Doctor Who and celebrate Doctor Who, and I think that period of Doctor Who magazine is it's best because it's essentially a licensed fanzine.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's so, and they're so enjoyable to read, those old magazines. I think it's definitely behind my Doctor Who fandom, and I guess my kind of desire to write about Doctor Who is because of those old Doctor Who magazines.
I also think it kind of shows how fandom's grown up a little bit, because I guess, you said Adrian Ridgelsford was 23 or something like that, and Doctor Who fans tend to take themselves very seriously, and most people, and take the things they love very seriously in their late teens and early 20s, and perhaps they're out their 20s. And then most people learn to be able to grow out of it, look at things objectively, and be able to poke fun of it. So this is pretty much the same story as the last one, but just done jovially and amusingly, and it's so much better as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's funny. It's the Roger Langridge's artwork is great.
Yeah,
it really suits that kind of comic Doctor Who. Like each Doctor's this kind of wonderful kind of caricature.
Yeah,
that really nails the sort of elements of each incarnation. And there's good jokes. There's just some absolutely bonkers Doctor Who moments.
Yeah,
that you'd love to see on screen.
I don't think you would ever see a story like this on screen, although I could be mistaken, and we'll see what happens next November. Cut to November 2023,
and Russell T Davies has all the Doctors strapped to a birthday cake like it's Adam West's Batman.
Having said that, the Beige Guardian, who is the villain here, does look a lot like Neil Patrick Harris.
I said this to you months ago, didn't I?
Of course it was you. I knew I'd heard it somewhere.
And I think that's what put the story back in my head, so that when you'd asked me, what we wanted to do. Yeah, he does. He does. Who knows? Maybe we're all wrong. It's not the toy maker. It's the Beige Guardian, and we'll see Neil Patrick Harris with a rubber duck on his head.
I mean, we're seeing certain aspects from the comics, so why not this?
Yes, indeed.
As you say, it's got some wonderful dialogue. One of my favourite bits was between the second and the seventh Doctor, where the second Doctor just goes, "We're going to fight enemies we've already beaten. Do you see a flaw in this chap's logic here?" And McCoy just goes, point taken, who is he anyway? This idea of a villain that really hates the Doctor, that the Doctor's forgotten, gets revisited in Big Finish and stuff like that. And I'd love to see that a little bit more in the new series as well.
Oh, I'd love... Like, I think they missed a trick with the kind of Doctor Light episodes in the RTD era, particularly. You could have easily done a really fun episode of, like, either, like... You know, like in the 70s where, like, companies were always fucking taken over by evil Time Lords or alien intelligence. It's like, yeah, but how did that happen? Like, from a corporate structure point of view. Like, I'd love to see a Doctor Who story that basically the Doctor shows up in the last 20 minutes to fix everything, but the 40 minutes beforehand is just like, how the hell did this guy get in charge of this massive plastics factory?
When Richie, from friend of the podcast, a mutual friend of the podcast, Richie was on at the start of the season, we did do that third Doctor comic strip with Salamander, and it does go to painstaking detail in it to say how Salamander could possibly integrate himself into the society.
I mean, like, have fun with it, though, you know, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, he starts in the fucking mailroom or something, and he's got, like, work his way up. That's way more fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly, rather than just the minute detail that Paul Cornell, again, has to go to explain why this would happen. But yeah, I could see like almost like a Lower Deck style thing of someone working their way up and then...
Oh, it like, there's so much room for a Lower Deck style Doctor Who spin-off. But yeah, I guess it's just because it's the BBC, we don't necessarily have the money, I guess, for it, really.
House of the Mouse! We're getting it all!
You can have a spin-off! You can have a spin-off!
Can't wait for it. At some point they're going to make the Dark Dimension. I can feel it. As we come up to the 30th anniversary of the 30th anniversary, that's what we need in our lives.
God, yeah. God, that's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Someone put that on Twitter today, and I was like, I hope they bring back videos in tins.
Yeah. Well, as I pointed out today, the VHS of the 5 Doctors and the King's Demons that's currently on my shelf is technically the most up-to-date bit of Doctor Who merchandise I currently own.
Really?
Because it's got the diamond logo.
Of course. What a time to be alive. Back to the comics, yeah. So it's got lovely little touches. They land outside the Queen Vic, and there's a sort of an ode to the dimensions in time. We get Doc Cotton.
Doc Cotton is a Zygon, which is great.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that in Dimensions in Time? I don't know.
I know. It would have been a much better story.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when his plans go to shit, the Beige Guardian it's just such a piss take of the whole of Doctor Who. He just gets depressed and throws a fit, and of course that's what a baddie would do, because and they capture each of the Doctor's personalities so well, considering they've only got a couple of pages and a couple of lines. I'm thinking especially at the end where McGann's going to say what happens in one sentence, and then Billy Hartnell's Doctor just does this long speech where he goes, and what it is, my boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doctor Who as a spoof is hard to do, I think, and this does it really well.
It does, and I think, you know, there's something. I think also it's I think the best sort of satire of the kind of multi-Doctor story, because it goes, there's surely no jeopardy in bringing all 8 Doctors together, because you've got 8 times the hero. So of course the villain's plans are just going to be stopped quite swiftly. You just
can't do something like this on television at all.
No,
which is a shame.
Or could you? No, I think now, because I think again we're kind of at a point where Doctor Who fandom does take itself a little bit too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not, you know, there's a lot of people on Twitter who make me laugh each and every day. I mean, mostly it's you guys, the group chat. But I mean, on the wider Twitter, I think, you know, there is definitely a strong sense of humour in Doctor Who fandom. But I think, and what I actually loved about The Power of the Doctor was that it seemed, although it's a regeneration story, it's actually, I think, the least po-faced regeneration story since the show came back.
Yeah, like it wasn't all about the Doctor regenerating. It was about regeneration, but it wasn't like you didn't get, the story wasn't like at the beginning of this you're going to regenerate, or at the end of this it was like, oh, actually the Master's going to force you to regenerate. And actually it becomes about the Master at that point, and then you get to go and have a fun time with some old men on a rock.
Yeah, and it's like, how much fun would it be if the Master was the Doctor?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's great.
It was great fun, and then at the last minute the Doctor gets shot. She goes and has an ice cream. She doesn't give a big speech, and she goes, "Tag, you're it." I mean,
yeah.
In terms of what I want from a regeneration story, I think it's been the best one of the new series since Parting of the Ways for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Because it is just... The first time round it can be slightly big. The first time round it was subtler, and then it just became all about the fucking speeches.
Yeah, yeah.
But there we go.
Or the sort of final tour.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. And actually, the great thing about the final tour in this is it happened off screen with nothing, out of the Doctor's life with nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
And they just they cut it in with her doing her little speech.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly.
I know.
She didn't even know that Joe Grant was having a chat about her with Melanie Bush.
She didn't even know Sabalon Glitz had dropped her back on her?
Yeah, exactly. She, convicted paedophile Sabalon Glitz. Not convicted, but he did take Ace's virginity, right?
Yeah.
Known space nonce, Sabalon Glitz. But anyway, so happy Death Day. Anything else that you need to say about that?
I think it's quite funny that, because obviously it's a story within a story, isn't it? It's because they're not actually the base guardian isn't the villain. It's not actually the Doctor.
Yeah,
it's Izzy playing a computer game that's kind of based around the Doctor's life. That's an interesting concept.
That is a very interesting concept.
And actually, I think there is definitely something in, and that's what I'm wondering if the RTD anniversary special is going to be, is like, is it about the idea of the Doctor as a pop culture icon?
Yeah.
Because by now it's 60 years, right? Surely the Doctor, within the kind of Doctor Who universe, the stories of the Doctor have kind of inflected the myths and legends and the movies and the TV shows and the books of other cultures. And it's something the show's never really kind of properly explored before. You get it sometimes in Big Finish.
Yeah.
Like, I think most notably in like Jubilee, where you've got that kind of hilarious like action movie version of a Doctor Who story. But yeah, so that I thought that was quite an interesting aspect.
Imagine if Doctor Who was a TV show in a universe somewhere. And
Imagine if somebody wrote a Doctor Who story.
And they called it TV action, perhaps.
Although I suppose we haven't done Clanger or Banger yet.
The clangers and bangers are really getting in the way here, aren't they? These fantastic links. Clanger, banger, average, meander. We both know it's a banger, right?
It's a banger. It's an absolute banger.
Sorted.
Too hot for TV.
So TV action. Printed in Doctor Who magazine 283. Cover date October 1999. News at the time: early days for Big Finish as they plan to introduce the Daleks and the Ice Warriors and a new companion called Evelyn Smythe. BBC Two's Doctor Who Night had a fixed transmission date of the 13th of November, which might lead to a repeat season, which would be at 6 p.m. on a Saturday on BBC Two. I don't think it ever ended up on a Saturday night.
No, it was like a Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or a Monday. It was definitely a weekday.
It was weekdays.
And it did not last very long.
No, it did not. BBC Films and Impact Pictures, I'm sure you can guess where this is going, are planning a Doctor Who movie. Names considered for the Doctor were Denzel Washington, Lawrence Fishburne, and Anthony Hopkins.
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't.
Whenever people say names that were considered, what it inevitably means is names a member of the production team wrote on a whiteboard.
Well, I listened to a podcast the other day with Gary Gillett, and obviously he was the editor of Doctor Who magazine for some time during the Wilderness era. And he was saying we'd quite often inform the news. So there'd be a vague rumblings of a Doctor Who movie or TV series, and we needed more to go on. So we'd go on the very early forums or rec arts and go, "Oh, I'm hearing that Lawrence Fishburne might be in the runnings for it." And then they can write in an article the speculation that Lawrence Fishburne is up for the role of the Doctor. Now, I'm not sure that was happening at this point, but either way. The storyline for this was by the director, one Mr. Paul Anderson.
Oh, God. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah.
And in Paul Hayes' The Long Game book, he does try to get to the bottom of this, but Paul Anderson and Impact Pictures just aren't willing to talk about it. But there was a point where Paul Anderson, director of Event Horizon And Resident Evil was planning a Doctor Who film. Who knows, perhaps with Denzel Washington in the lead. What the fuck does that look like?
Well, I mean, probably that action movie version of Doctor Who from Jubilee.
Very true,
Probably.
very true. And the article goes on to note, this meant that a potential series from queer as folk writer Russell T Davies was not being picked up due to BBC Films having the rights. Now, Paul Hayes does go into this in his book, into more detail, but it was never more than like a meeting or two. There was no planned series. It was just a meeting. Big Finish releases. They just released Phantasmagoria by Mark Gatiss featuring the Fifth Doctor and Turlough. BBC Books' Eighth Doctor adventure was The Taking of Planet 5 by Simon Butcher-Jones and Mark Clapham. Mythmakers 45, Jack Pitt was out on VHS. And the Past Doctor adventure was Divided Loyalties featuring the Fifth Doctor, Adric, Nyssa, Tegan and the Toymaker.
Of course.
I have to give a shout out to Jack Pitt's Mythmakers.
It's good, right? Yeah.
It's very good. If anybody has not seen it, Jack Pitt was he was like a Zarbi and a Vord and things like that. But he shared digs with one Mr. William Hartnell. And boy, has he got some stories. I think they're all quite embellished.
Probably, yeah.
I also think in the seedier parts of the internet, there were always rumours that William Hartnell was gay. And I think
I remember that as well, yeah.
And I think this comes from the fact that Jack Pitt, I don't know what his sexuality was, but is a bit camp. And that someone went, they were staying together, they were obviously fucking. It's well worth picking up, but he does keep using the word stoned when I think he means drunk.
Yeah, yeah.
But
well, you never know, but yeah, probably. It's interesting, because I remember watching that, because it was, I think it's the edited version in the Monsters...
Yeah,
the real-time kind of compilation. And I remember kind of seeing Jack Pitt, Zarbi. I'm like, oh, fucking... Come on, Nick and Keith, you're having a bloody laugh here. Zarbi for 45 minutes, but yeah, it's very good. Yeah. It's very, very good, yeah.
One of my favourite Mythmakers, I would go as far to say, and I've seen them all.
Too hot for TV.
Beep the Meep uses a dimensional warp to send the Doctor to another universe. They land at the BBC TV centre in the 1970s, where Beep has turned the inhabitants into mindless zombies and intends to broadcast raw Black Star energy to enslave everyone in Britain via the BBC. Izzy convinces actor Tom Baker to pretend to be the Doctor to distract Beep, while she blows up the Black Star transmitter with power from the national grid.
Too hot for TV.
So, our final release, as we said, TV Action, written by Alan Barnes and art once again by Roger Langridge. This was commissioned to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who magazine. And again, it's a spoof. But this one takes a bit of a different take on the Doctor Who mythos. So why don't you discuss what you think of this and the take that they have here?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a multi-Doctor story, but it's, to paraphrase Paul McGann, not the multi-Doctor story you were expecting. It's so it's it's Beep the Meep.
Yeah.
Might
see him again.
You might. Who knows? So has opened his Black Star drive or whatever it is. The Doctor and Izzy have landed in a parallel world, which is our world. So it's it's a fun concept. I was convinced at one point that that's what the Centenary special would have been.
And thank God
Thankfully it wasn't. Although we did get all the old Doctors in it.
I do think this is the perfect medium for something like this, like a comic strip or an audio. I don't want primetime BBC, and I'm going to point the finger at Red Dwarf's 2-part special or 3-part special, whatever it was, Back to Earth, which was a television show officially jumping the shark, where they landed in our reality. And as a skit, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But as your big flagship comeback.
Well, it was, that's a weird old story, that. Because was it not like, I think a lot of it was budgetary, so they were like, they had to be on the Coronation Street set because Craig Charles was in Coronation Street, so they could pull in a favour and film Red Dwarf there. And
they've been given the budget to do like a bunch of interludes, like skits for a Red Dwarf night to celebrate the 20th, 30th, 40th, whatever anniversary. And they just went, for this money, we think we can make a new episode of Red Dwarf, which in turn led to several new series of Red Dwarfs.
Which had 1 or 2 very good episodes. But yeah, so you're right. A comic strip is the best way to kind of tell that story. And yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Again, it kind of does that. It's a spoof. You've got ridiculous things like, a possessed Legs and Co. chasing the Doctor and Izzy through the Blue Peter Garden. The cast of Are You Being Served showing up.
You get the long-awaited Doctor Who Blake Seven crossover in the Blue Peter Garden, where you see some...
You do. Yes, you do.
I have to wonder, at this point, no one's paying attention to Doctor Who magazine. Do you think they cleared any of these likenesses or any of this intellectual property? No, I don't think so either.
And also, you could probably get around it because it's TV Centre.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, what's the problem? I'm just drawing actors. I mean, you still have to get likenesses for actors, I suppose, but it's probably easier to get round, I suppose, isn't it?
Of course, now if you told this story, they'd all be paedophiles, because now we know the truth of what's going on there.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I was definitely going through each and every one of these panels.
No, we escaped. There was no Jim will fix it.
No Jim will fix it. No Dave Lee Travers. No Rolf Harris.
Instead, we get Grange Hill and the Anedon line, which are fairly safe, I think.
Yeah, probably. We're going to look like idiots when the big Grange Hill Anedon line scandal breaks tomorrow.
I'll edit this bit out, don't worry. So, ultimately, of course, if you're in TV Centre in the 70s, where else are you going to end up but the TARDIS set? So Izzy ends up...
I'm glad you said that and not Jimmy Savile's Cut that.
And ultimately, Beep the Meep is going to enslave Earth with a broadcast, which is what he does every time. In a future episode of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV, which is already recorded, we do the Ratings War, which is Colin Baker and Beep the Meep. And that's basically his ploy there as well.
Yeah.
And I believe that was his ploy in the comic book back in the day as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's the ploy in the Star Beast.
Yeah.
He's to enslave everybody using his black matter or whatever it's called. And that'll be the plot in the 60th. I mean, I won't say that.
Oh, everybody fucking knows. And if you don't know, you know.
Knows.
Beep the Meep's in it, but he won't be the main villain. It's fine. And of course, who shows up but Tom Baker?
Oh. Because, yeah, of course. And, for context, this is obviously it's an anniversary special, but it's not a Doctor Who anniversary.
Yeah.
It's the 30th anniversary of Doctor Who magazine?
20th.
Is that what it is? 20th, that's it. And yeah, so it's the villain from the first Doctor Who weekly comic strip.
Yeah.
Beep the Meep. It's kind of 1979, the year in which Doctor Who magazine kind of first comes out.
Yeah.
And it's Tom Baker in full pomp.
Yeah.
And Izzy convinces the actor Tom Baker to play the Doctor to basically defeat Beep the Meep. It's a fun idea. It's like a kind of very Galaxy Quest kind of idea, and it works. And it takes a little bit of a pot shot at Tom Baker, like a loving, well-intentioned one, but where he's kind of spaffing on with all these kind of Tom Baker stories.
He literally says that I was mistaken for Shirley Williams once.
Yes.
But ultimately, what ends the story is the fact, because it's 1979, the National Grid overloads the Black Star What's It, and that's the end of Beat the Meep.
And for those who are nostalgic for those days, I'm sure you have a lovely time in January and February when the National Grid turns itself off regular intervals.
But at least we're all looking forward to the next series of Doctor Who being done largely against green screen like Underworld. It was good times. So it obviously ends with the Doctor reading the first issue of Doctor Who Weekly. Again, for a comic strip, lovely little moment. Very sweet. The art by Roger Langridge. Any particular favourite images?
Just anything that involves... Like, there's a bit... I can't remember if it's the Doctor or if it's Izzy or if it's both of them, but they're hiding, and you've got, like, Mrs. Slocum...
Yes.
Wendy Richards and John Inman kind of, with sort of black, possessed eyes kind of... walking, but still in character as their, Are You Being Served characters, that's very funny. And stuff like Rod Hull and Emu are in there at one point, and Larry Grayson's in there. Just this kind of Where's Wally of kind of BBC light entertainment figures.
The cultural references that the only people that get them now are Doctor Who fans.
Yes. That's true, yeah, because there's that kind of initiation, isn't there, when you become a Doctor Who fan, that you then have to watch every other bit of archive telly.
It's true. Most Doctor Who fans only watch Talking Pictures TV and only switch over to BBC One every now and then for Doctor Who. And if someone tells them there's something like Andor on, which is a bit like Blake Seven or something, they're allowed to watch that. This is all the truth.
I feel attacked. I feel like I don't know what to... Whereas the young Doctor Who fans these days, Dylan, you know,
Yeah.
they've got no respect for the classics, you know?
No,
They're
exactly.
just constantly watching Doctor Who and listening to big finishes.
Yeah, and then watching Sex Education, which, I mean, what's that ever done for us?
They don't even know who Larry Grayson is.
Nor should they.
Until Russell T Davies writes a bloody, you know,
Of course.
drama about him.
Well, yeah. This is the best thing we've got before. This is the most Doctor Who thing ever, almost. Russell T Davies' next drama isn't Doctor Who, but before that, we've got Russell T Davies writing about a 70s television star. Is that not just for people who like Doctor Who there?
Yeah.
You know, like a decade ago, BBC Four, when they still did dramas, did a series of things about comedians like Tony Hancock and Kenny Everett, and I was like, the only people that are watching this are Doctor Who fans.
Or comedy nerds.
Yeah, comedy nerds. Same thing, crossover, they cross over.
Yeah, I went to see a play about Spike Milligan the other day, and the audience was very much like a BFI screening of Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's just the same audience,
Yeah.
So, do we think this one's a clanger, a banger, or an average meander?
Oh, it's a banger.
This one is a banger.
It's I think the one and only time you can get away with telling a story like that. And it's fun, and I think Doctor Who comic strips should be fun, and Doctor Who should be fun.
Yeah.
And I think also, as Doctor Who's kind of come back, and I think this is like a whole extra podcast, so I won't go on for long. But the magazine, for me now, and I'm sure lots of people listening to this will probably disagree with me, I don't think it's quite as fun and free form as it used to be.
No, I agree.
But what I do think is that it still has that status. To the point that, you know, you've had David Tennant recreating the Tom Baker cover. You've had Peter Capaldi recreating it. Yeah. You know, it's become a kind of iconic thing in itself. And I think this comic strip is kind of what starts Doctor Who magazine going, actually, do you know what? This is kind of an incredible thing that we've done.
It's this weird little subculture within Doctor Who, and there is this moment up until Doctor Who comes back, and a bit beyond, to be honest, where it is just a lot of fun. I think at the moment it's very much like an archive piece because they haven't had the access to the current show. So it's very much about, and I'm fine with that because I'm a Doctor Who fan. I want to read about the photo shoot that John Pertwee did in 1975 that's been lost. But, you know, it definitely doesn't have that same fun. And I think there was something about, I think it carried on a bit through the Russell T Davies era because you had Russell writing for it, Clayton Hickman was editing it. Like, there was still a sense of fun, even though it wasn't the same kind of self-referential stuff as it was in the 90s and the early noughties. And I really hope it gets some of that back now that...
Yeah, because I think the magazine was allowed access, and I think RTD is a fan, and he buys Doctor Who magazine, he buys Big Finish audios. Like, he is on record as kind of saying, you know, like, he was kind of maintaining a relationship with those aspects of sort of expanded Doctor Who. And I think it shows. And I think Moffat, I think the show kind of just became bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And I think Moffat and particularly Chibnall kind of just fell away from the magazine. And it became a more kind of like brand manager dealing with it who didn't really understand the magazine.
My understanding actually is that Tom Spilsbury and Moffat were very good friends.
Right.
But I would describe Tom Spilsbury and Stephen Moffat perhaps having a similar attitude to the promotion of Doctor Who, of potentially taking it slightly more seriously than... Russell took it seriously but knew that Doctor Who magazine was a place you could have a bit more fun with it, and Clayton Hickman was the same. And then reportedly Spilsbury got removed for putting some reviews in that were less than complimentary about an episode.
Yeah, I'd heard
and that. The BBC and Chris Chibnall, maybe not Chris Chibnall, who knows, basically went, well, we don't want an official Time magazine that criticises an episode of current Doctor Who at all. So...
Yeah, and that's... I think that's the danger you get now, and it'll be... I mean, I don't think it's going to have immediate consequences, but, you know, moving to Disney Plus and being kind of part of that, you know, that kind of brand identity becomes an even bigger concern, I suppose.
I wonder, because I suspect that Disney Plus probably haven't put any money or put very little money into this. So, yeah. But if this first series is a success, I could well see Disney Plus turning around and going, we'll put X amount of money on the table for you to make this. And then what's the effect that has on Big Finish, on Doctor Who magazine, on the show as a whole. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we digress.
We do.
So let's wrap things up. Let's talk a little bit about just What do you want in the future for a multi-doctor story?
Oh, right, sorry. That was just
No, not in your life. Not in general. So we've got the 60th coming up. Do you expect to see more Doctors? Would you like to see more Doctors?
I think we're not going to see any more Doctors, because Russell will have read The Power of the Doctor script, presumably before taking over.
Yeah.
Although, obviously, it was all filmed before he was hired, so he wasn't there on set. But he will have, I guess, been there for the kind of edits and the finishing touches and things like that, I would expect.
He knew what was happening.
Yeah. So I can't see him going, right, you've had Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, David Bradley, Jodie Whittaker, David Tennant. So in the anniversary, we're going to have Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith, Peter... I don't think that's going to happen. I think we might get Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa sharing a scene or two together rather than a regeneration, if you see what I mean.
It looks like it from the trailer, certainly. Who knew Ncuti Gatwa had shot any scenes for Doctor Who? I'm in two minds about it. One part of me thinks it's just going to be David Tennant and it's going to be this weird celebration of Doctor Who, but that actually most of the references are beat the meat things that people won't get, but are just fun there for people. The other side of me, and I thought this before Chris Chibnall said this, he said, I wanted to do the Doctors that I didn't think they were going to touch next year, so the classic Doctors. And part of me thinks you don't do some of the Doctors in this respect because the most likely ones are David Tennant and Matt Smith, and you don't want to repeat that. So he's either just got David Tennant or he's got them all. That's my view.
Yeah.
And if it is all of them, it's a 3-part special and all of them will only be in the last one. And I think they'll be linked but quite separate stories in that respect.
And Tennant said something to that regard in interviews, hasn't he? He said that his role's a small part of a much larger thing. And, Tom Spilsbury fucking was dragging me on social media the other day. Not directly, I should point out. But kind of going, David Tennant is the 14th Doctor. Let's back up.
Yeah.
His new coat, is the same colour, almost, as Jodie Whittaker's, weird hallucination coat. I mean, I know that's just probably a coincidence, but, we've had a degeneration, all this kind of stuff. There's obviously more to it.
There's going to be twists and turns, and if there was ever a time that we're going to get all the new series Doctors back, I feel like it's now. But I also don't know how many of them would do it. But this is just... I don't know why, and I'm sure I'll be let down. I'm convinced Christopher Eccleston's in it. I'm convinced of it. And I have no proof. Nobody said anything to me. I'm just convinced, and I will eat my hat when he's not there.
I mean, if Eccleston's in it, I would just be happy that him and Russell T Davidson made up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh great, one of our best character actors and one of our best writers have actually working together again. That's nice.
So my last question to do with multi-Doctor stories is, do you prefer your Doctors to be brought together by some big cosmic forces or just to bump into each other?
Ooh, probably cosmic forces.
Interesting. See, I've had enough of the cosmic forces. I'd quite like just a Ncuti Gatwa episode set in the 70s or something like that, where he bumps into someone playing John Pertwee or a Deep Plate, and they just have an adventure. And it's not because Omega did it or the Black Guardian or the Beige Guardian. It's just they have an adventure that's interlinked and they go their separate ways.
The reason I say that is because I think at the moment Big Finish are trying to do that kind of... The 10th Doctor's just kind of bumping into his past selves. And they've been fun and it's all been very enjoyable, but they've not quite hit me in the heart.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think there's 15 of the fuckers.
Yeah.
There's definitely room for them to
plus all the kids
with each other. Yeah, well, exactly. So I think we'll see.
Indeed. Well, I mean, we'll meet up here this time next year, and when we're watching Hugh Grant playing the 42nd Doctor and Peter Capaldi running around in the background and David Tennant was just in it for 5 minutes, we'll eat our words. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can people find you on the internet?
At Old Man Crondas on Twitter. If you want to listen to more of this drunken Doctor Who chat, you can listen to it on the Timelash. We're almost finished, doing new Doctor Who from 2005 to now. We've not got a lot left to do. So, yeah. Jump in now.
Well, you can go back and listen to it all. It'll be a complete piece. It'll be a sad day when you finally do hit it all. But in terms of classic series stories, you've really only got some shit ones left, right?
I know. It is a problem. It is a problem.
Thank you so much for joining me again. And I promise next time you can pick exactly what you want to do. And they'll be completely of your choice.
Oh, God.
Yes. And so you can pick ones that you actually enjoy. Because I feel like I pick you
put these two wires together.
Exactly. But next time, I'm going to be joined by Luke Malloy of Lost on Gallifrey. And we're going very tenuous here. Well, not very tenuous, but we're going Doctor Who spin-off heavy. We're talking Jago and Lightfoot's Swan Song and the audio orgy that is Torchwood, the death of Captain Jack. We had great fun recording that episode, and that'll be dropping in December. But until then, I've been Dylan.
I've been Mark.
And this has been Doctor Who Too Hot for TV.
Too hot for TV.
I noticed that BBC America have tweeted about how they've loved being part of broadcasting Doctor Who, but obviously they're not going to be doing it anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes, well, I mean, only like 200,000 people ever fucking watched it, didn't
Well,
they?
I know, and that's it. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. I was saying to Matt from Strangers in Space earlier on, just like, I really hope that this just puts a fucking end to that interminable conversation about the British audience.
Ratings. Yeah.
And the ratings. It's like, it's on fucking Disney Plus all around the world.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it.
No, but you know the new thing will be they don't release the ratings. It could be terribly.
Yeah.
How do we know it's a success?
Only 6 people are watching it.
And they've already seen it on the BBC because they're fans, and they're doing it because they're woke.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what's going on, but it is an odd choice that they're starting that at the beginning of the specials rather than... I assumed if there was a Disney Plus deal, it would happen at the beginning of Shooty's era, but then...
I guess Tennant... Tennant's
enough.
a big draw, isn't he? It's probably that.
I think it's just get everybody in you can, and then there'll probably be an even bigger push for Shooty's first season. But who knows? There's probably 400 doctors in the special anyway.
Let's just do away with the numbering. Let's just do away with the fucking numbering. And David Tennant's not the 14th Doctor, no matter what way you cut it. He's not the 14th Doctor, all right? I'm still right. I'm still right.
Yeah, okay.
The Master's the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, that's true.
Or technically Jodie Whittaker's the 14th.
Do away with the numbering. Do away with the numbering. Yeah, I mean, also... It doesn't sound great when you're like, so I'm the 15th person to play this
I know.
role. If you've not heard, it's what? Does nobody want to do it? Like, why do they keep quitting?
So there's only 6 James Bonds, or is it 7?
Who knows?